Hi guys, how are you doing? My name is Sebastian from Tech Century and welcome to my very first big setup tour ever since summer 2015. So today I'm gonna show you 4 of my setups in this single video. And as you can tell by the background, I've also moved to a completely different apartment. I actually purchased this loft apartment around 2 years ago. And let me know if you also want to see a full tour of this apartment from like an architectural standpoint and the history of this building. And I'll make sure to do that as well. But now let's get started with these setups. So to get started, we'll talk about my work and editing setup. And since I've already done like a dedicated video on this, I'll keep this short and sweet. This is my main machine, a 5K late 2014 iMac 27-inch that I purchased used for like 800 euros. Just a bargain, and it works absolutely great even with 4K footage in Final Cut Pro. Then I also have the Logitech K811 keyboard, which is wireless and illuminated, which I really like. I have currently the Magic Mouse 2 because I had some issues with my MX Master, and I have the Hammer AluPad as a trackpad. In terms of mobile machines, I'm actually still a Windows user, believe it or not. This is the Surface Laptop 1st generation, and I just really like it, especially in terms of value. With the screen that's bright, also the 3:2 aspect ratio, the touchscreen, which you won't find on any Mac, the keyboard that's pretty good, and also the Alcantara finish. I just really like to use it. Also thin and light, has a good battery life, and if I have to do some editing on the go, I'll just use it with DaVinci Resolve. On the iMac, as I mentioned, I'll definitely much prefer to use Final Cut Pro. But now let's get to the entertainment part. So now we've moved over here to this entertainment setup, and as you can tell, we really like it simple here as well. The highlight, of course, is this 2019 55-inch LG NanoCell TV, which just came out recently and has a ton of amazing features, like for example Google Assistant built in, so I can even control the lights here in the background, which are U lights, with this TV, which is pretty amazing. On top of that, it also has one feature that you won't find in any marketing material. Despite it being an LCD display, it doesn't have any banding whatsoever. So we watch a lot of soccer, or it doesn't matter if you watch soccer or American football. And if you reduce the brightness, for example, on my Samsung TV, just vertical lines appeared on screen when you had just this green surface. And it just looked horrible and always threw us off the TV watching experience when we're watching sports. And this TV, no matter at what level the backlight is, it just doesn't appear at all. And to be honest, it's the first LCD TV that I had that doesn't have any banding issues, and I'm very, very happy about it. On top of that, I also really like the just incredibly minimalistic design with the built-in cable management in the stand itself, because that way you just get a very clean setup. And I just really like that about it. Also has 4 HDMI inputs and a very, very low input lag. So for example, for gaming here with the Xbox One S that we'll see below, it's just a perfect match, and I really like to game on here. On top of that, below there, we also have the Lunar Eclipse speakers by Edifier, and they're actually hooked up to a Chromecast audio because we have a Chromecast audio multi-room setup here in this loft. And we also have some Panasonic speakers behind the camera right now, so that we have like a surround sound, a Nest Hub in the kitchen, and also another LG Chromecast enabled speaker on the first floor. So this is the setup. If you didn't watch the video yet, make sure to do it. This is our Büsum 2019 vacation video that I've published as my most recent video, and I hope that you guys enjoy this one as well. But now let's move on to the cameras. So now welcome to the camera gear tour, kind of Linus Tech Tips style. So here you see our kitchen in the background, and this is basically all of our camera gear that we take on our trips. First off, we'll have here the Sony Alpha 7 I on the FeiyuTech AK2000 gimbal. And this is also basically the setup that I shot the entire Büsum video that you saw on the entertainment setup on the TV with. And this is just an amazing setup. I currently have the 24 to 70mm lens on there. We also have the 50mm lens in front of it. Then next up we have the old trusty Canon 700D DSLR. Still works absolutely amazingly. And we also have the kit lens here, the 18 to 55mm. Then we also have a Canon zoom lens 75 to 300mm, and of course the 50mm f1.8. And overall, this is still just a fantastic camera. I really like the touchscreen that you can swivel around to see what you're recording. The only thing I don't really like about it is that once you switch to live view, the autofocus sucks. So that's the big con here on this camera, but especially considering that this is a couple of years old, still amazing. Now here's one camera that I think most people don't have on their radars, and to me, especially if you get started with YouTube, this is probably one of the best values out there. This is the Panasonic FZ300. So this is a camera, a bridge camera, so it has a fixed lens, but a 25 to 600 millimeter lens, and completely over the range, it's 2.8. So very, very good. And also on top of that, we have the touchscreen right here that you can also swivel around, similar to the 700D. And it records 4K video even with eye tracking autofocus. So yeah, that just kind of blew my mind, and I had to get it, especially because I also like to really zoom into, for example, animals when they're farther away. And this is a perfect camera for that. The only con, it has a pretty small sensor, but then again, it costs around like 400 euros or even less. And for that, it's just spectacular what this camera offers, and I can just highly recommend it. Next up, we then have our basically point and shoot with 1-inch sensor. This is the Canon G7X Mark II. There was just an announcement of the G7X Mark III with 4K video, which is very amazing. This has full HD, but still a very nice camera if you just want to grab something and have a little bit of zoom range, especially also because it has a 1.8 to, I believe, 2.8 lens. So also very good for shallow depth of field. And next up, my favorite video camera of all time, and you can probably barely even see it because it's so tiny. And yes, this is the DJI Osmo Pocket. And I honestly can't express how much I love this camera, because this has a mechanically stabilized gimbal. So this means the stabilization works in any mode, no matter if you're shooting 4K 60, 1080p 120, just always works. And to me, this is a real game changer, because I can honestly say there's no video camera that I've ever owned that I've used as much as this DJI Osmo Pocket. And then again, also having the ability to shoot 4K at 60, you can slow down to 30 FPS, and then you have basically 4K slow motion. And most cameras that are capable of recording 4K 60 are like 2,000 or 3,000 euros. So this is by far my favorite video camera of all time. And I already said, once DJI releases a new one, I'll buy it no matter how much it costs, no matter when is the time. I just can't wait. I think this is the best video camera that money can buy, and just an amazing value. I mean, 4K 60 for like 350 years. I can't wait. And the only thing that I would kind of want to see is that we don't have a fixed focal length, so that we can zoom in a little bit. And a dream of mine would be to have a little bit bigger version that has a bigger touchscreen, maybe in terms of size, kind of like the Osmo Action, and then the 1-inch Hasselblad sensor from the Mavic 2 Pro on here. That would be my perfect Osmo Pocket Pro, or whatever you want to call it, and I would buy that thing in a heartbeat. I don't care. DJI, please make it, please release it. I'll buy it. I'll stand in line for that thing. So yeah, I just love this camera, as you can probably tell. Now we get to kind of like my niche cameras that I don't really use most of the time, but they still have, well, like a use case for them. So this is the Gear 360, actually the first generation, and we usually take this on our weekend trips to just get a 360 image of the area that we're in, for example on the beach, or maybe also to get a 360 image of the hotel room, so that you can really like travel back in time to have a look at it. I really want to upgrade this to an Insta360 One X, but currently that's not on the list, but soon it will happen. And maybe there'll be a successor to the Insta One X that's even better. Then I'll definitely upgrade from this Gear 360. But that thing was like 60 euros, so you can't go wrong with it either way. Last but not least, we then have here my GoPro Hero 5 Black. Shoots 4K, but unfortunately barely stabilized. And this is also why the Osmo Pocket replaced it. At least when it's not raining, or when I don't have to go underwater with the camera for that. This is still a great camera, so once a year when we go, I don't know, fly away to Egypt or something, then this is the right camera. Otherwise, I'll always choose the Osmo Pocket over it. Now last but certainly not least, we have my motorized slider right here, which was a really long dream of mine to have one of those. This is the ROV Pro Traveler. And so you can basically also put a DSLR on it, not only a smartphone, and you can control it using Bluetooth from your smartphone, which is very nice. And you also have a built-in battery right here with some indicators. And you'll probably see a lot of B-roll, or you have already seen some B-roll here on this channel. And also in this video, there'll be a ton of B-roll that was shot using this motorized slider. Works very well. The only thing that I wish it did was also tilting the head. That doesn't work, but for the first generation of this product, it's amazing and I can just highly recommend it. So last but not least, it's time to take a look at the gaming setup that you see right here. And this is Inception, because this is my setup tour from 2015. So the TV, of course, is the highlight here. This is a 65-inch Philips OLED TV, so it has absolutely amazing picture quality. Also, I think because this panel is actually built by LG, and of course incredibly deep, dark black levels. And so especially for watching movies where you have black bars on top and bottom, and sometimes just text on the screen and everything else is black, this just looks fantastic on this TV. But unfortunately, the other aspects of this TV aren't that great. Now, this was one of the highest end TVs that you could buy in 2018 from Philips, and it had like an MSRP of 4,000 euros, but still they just included here this crappy IR remote. So you basically have to point it exactly at the Philips logo, otherwise it won't accept the command. And with basically any other TV, no matter if you're spending like 700 euros or 2,000, you get a Bluetooth remote these days. That's the case on the LG TV. That was the case on my old Samsung TV. But here on this high-end version of 2018, you get this crappy remote that only has IR. So that's a big bummer. Another aspect that isn't that great is the included soundbar that you see right here, which you can't detach. Now, from the size, I thought, well, this has to sound great. No, it doesn't. It's barely better than any regular built-in speakers that you find on a TV. And especially for the space that it takes up and how massive it looks, it's just a big disappointment. But again, of course, the picture quality makes it all kind of worth it. But I'm glad that I didn't pay a full retail price for it. Connected to this is the Xbox One X, so this is where I do most of my gaming. I also have these cinema chairs right here with cup holders, and they're also reclining, which makes it very, very comfortable to game on here, and also from time to time to watch one or the other Hollywood movie on there. And this basically also wraps up the setup tour. As you can see, all my setups are pretty minimalistic, but I'm just very happy with them, and I also really like this space here in the apartment. And I hope that you guys really enjoyed these tours. Let me know in the comment section below. I'll also leave a link to all the products in the description of this video. And I really hope that you liked it. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to the channel for many more videos. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.